Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another exciting episode of the Jada Mechanic Podcast. We're into the just beginnings of 2026 here, and I told you all in 2025 that I was going to, have a core group of people that I wanted to keep checking in with and bring them back because the guests love them and I love them, and they've got a lot to, offer. And sometimes they make changes that really become relevant to certain conversations. So one of my most popular guests out on the big interwebs is Mr. Fluffy the Mexicanik. So how are you, Fluff?
I'm doing all right, brother. How about yourself?
Oh man, I got a shoulder that's pretty much just about frozen. I can't lift it higher than that, so that sucks. Being it makes you got to do some interesting things to get some repairs done that you would normally reach up with your left hand and figure out how you can do it with the right. But I mean, it is what it is. I'm 30 years of doing this, right? Like it's going to happen. So,
Oh yeah, I'm right there with you. I got a shoulder issue also, man, and
it's
to make
hard.
things interesting, get in a certain position and it feels like a burning pain. It's
And everybody, like mechanics, you all hear the things, right? Well, it's bad backs and bad knees and bad hips and all that kind of stuff. But I mean, I know so many mechanics with like bad wrists, bad fingers, bad hands, bad everything. But I have so many mechanics in the last 10 years with like really bad necks and upper backs and shoulders. And I don't know, like it's not I'm strong to lift, but it's like you said, it's those awkward, contorted positions where you're holding, a 8-pound starter in your hand and trying to jam it in a hole and twist your wrist. That's what screws you up, man. It's just that little thing, right? It's not it's not the lifting the tires all day long. Like that's if you learn the technique, you're good. But it's that weird position, man. So
yep.
How did you hurt yours? Just
Moving actually. Moving when I was moving into this house about 5-6 years ago.
Yeah.
Overreached on a heavy box and I just felt a snap and I was like, oh no. Well,
Yeah.
I don't like going to the doctor, so I just ran with it.
Yeah.
But lately it's been giving some issues.
Yeah, I'm not crazy about doctors up here. Everybody talks about Canadian healthcare and they think it's free, it's great. There's such a shortage of doctors that like I can't even see one. I can't find one. Everyone you call, they're not taking any new patients, and it's just if you can go down to the hospital and go to emerge, they're just going to shoot you up with drugs and probably give you a cortisone shot and send you home. That's not going to do anything, right? So
Correct.
I need surgery. So it's trying to find a specialist that'll get me prepped for surgery. And then the wait list is probably a year for surgery, just about any elective surgery. So, you just got to have to, I don't know. I get really comfortable with ice packs and hot water bottles, right? And that's my thing. But so you said moving, and you made a change recently since we last talked. You kind of moved dealerships, didn't you?
I did.
Yeah.
I left a dealership that I was with for
a long time.
I was a week shy of 13 years being there.
Yeah, bro.
And so, things came to a point where I was dreading going to work.
Mm-hmm.
The constant daily life of being there was just I had enough. And luckily I had a couple buddies at a different Nissan dealer that were like, so and so just, they're not here no more, so we got a job opening. They're like, come talk to the manager. I'm like, I'm being resistant because I was already at the point where I was giving myself to the end of 2025. If things didn't change, I was already going to leave.
Yeah.
Whether that was go to a different shop or go on my own, try to figure it out. And they're like, nah, come over here. And I'm like, you know what? I'm going on vacation. I'm going to be out of state for the 4th of July weekend. I'll talk to him when I get back. So I went and talked to him, asked my questions. He showed me numbers, numbers from the guys, my buddies that are there.
Yeah.
Numbers from the guy that left, so you want to see where the shop is before you say yes. So is everybody's numbers, about the same or satisfied? And, is it not just one person? Is it throughout the whole shop? And I like the numbers. I did, he couldn't meet my pay.
Promotive started because a couple industry friends and I were hanging out, and we realized that the number one challenge all the shops that we worked with for many decades faced was finding technicians. You hear technician shortage over and over out there, and we're not bringing kids into the industry today, and there's thankfully lots of other companies out there who do focus on that, but we believe that part of the technician shortage is the leakage coming out of the funnel. The people that are working with shops or dealers that aren't treating them right, they're just paired with the wrong environment, with the wrong owners. The technicians, instead of looking for new jobs and new opportunities, decide to leave the industry, or they get jaded on it. And we believe that there's a fit out there for the right techs with the right shops. And if we do that, then they're going to stay in the industry, and we're going to help, at the end of the day, the shortage by keeping technicians in the field. Promotive started just by realizing there's really not that many resources for technicians. Of course, there's certifications that they can get, and they can advance their skill set by doing hands-on training, or they can advance their skill set by testing, but there's not that many companies out there focused on making the technicians more successful in other areas. For example, knowing what their career path can be if they don't want to stay as a technician in the future.
But that's understandable.
Mm-hmm.
So, we had gone through pay raises to try to keep us satisfied.
Yeah.
And, it's not always about the pay.
Nope.
It is not always about the pay. You can make $100 an hour and make 10 hours. You can make $50 an hour and make 40 hours.
Yeah.
So I bit the bullet. I hate change. I do not like it. But this was something I had to do, not only for myself, but for my family. Because it was getting to the point where I was just unhappy every day, whether I was at work, whether I was at home, around family, out, trying to have a good time. It
Yeah.
came to that point.
I know that feeling, because that was that's me a lot of the time when I worked at a dealership. It didn't really matter, right? It's just that vibe, and some people flourish in that kind of environment, and some of us don't. And I'm one of them that just doesn't. Like, I can make money, I can make hours, but man, I just dread going in. And you and I would talk, and it was like, you talked about what they were paying you, and then I was like, but when you were kind of filling me in on how many hours that were actually getting sold, I was like, shoot, man, that sucks. Like, it was low. And
Yeah.
I see that a lot, Fluff, when it's like they keep pumping the hour rate up, what they're going to pay you an hour. But like I've said it, God, I'm going to get a t-shirt that says it, $100 an hour times 0 hours is still zero. It doesn't really matter. It's all about the production side of how many hours the front can sell. And I find that that's just a stopgap when they don't want to fix the front. They just keep pumping that hour up in the back, and it's just to entice the guys to stay, and girls, excuse me. And I think it's just shitty. It's just shitty. So
See, I don't know what it is with being able to sell on the front.
mhm.
I mean, we have that issue here. It's a mixture of, can the customer afford it,
Yep.
but also at the same time, is the advisor understanding what he's trying to sell,
Yeah.
or is he approaching it the right way? Um, you know, there's programs out there. I don't know if it's for every dealer, but they have like not afterpay, but it's kind of like financing your repair to
Mhm.
try to make it affordable, because dealerships and repair facilities understand that it is getting pricey to repair vehicles.
Well, sure. It's Brandon Sloan just put up a video, and he was talking about fixing transmissions, and it's almost like he said, it's like $1,000 a speed. So you got an 8-speed tranny that you're overhauling, rebuilding, $8,000 out the door. And people are like, oh my God, I can remember when turbo 350 was $300 to rebuild. Sure. Yeah. It came out in 15 minutes, and there was no very little electronics to look at the engine side to see if it was causing the transmission issue, right? It was like there was so much more you could do with just your visual, that covered it. And he said, and even then, back then, we were having, we'd have reman units on the shelf ready to go. So they weren't paying necessarily a bunch of, labor, like they were into the cost of that unit, but it wasn't like every transmission shop I ever talked to, they were building cores up in this fair time, right? When they don't have a customer unit there, they're building a core over in the corner, and then it's going on the shelf and it's going in with a warranty, the whole thing. And he said that saves the customer some money versus like, hey, we've never done one of these before. It's 10 hours to overhaul it and yank it out and put it back in. Like there's $1,000 just in labor. You know what I mean?
Yep.
And so, yeah, the prices are ridiculous. And that's the thing. Like I see it a lot of times in the aftermarket now. People are going to financing options within the shop, getting a third-party financer to come in. And I think the dealers need to be thinking about that the same way, because it's like, we always think, people got a credit card. That's already maxed out now.
Yep.
I mean,
exactly.
what I mean, it's sad as it is, it's already maxed out. And they might be able to put $1,000 on it. They can't put 10 grand on it. They can't put $6,000. They can't buy a CVT on their credit card.
And what's nice about these financing options is, I believe like Sunbit offers 6 to 12 months, no interest if you pay it off within that time frame.
Yeah,
that's pretty neat.
Yeah, I think it's definitely something that more people need to be open to, because it's you see the comments, the same thing, Fluffy. Everybody's whining about the technology that's in these cars, and they hate to, we're crooks for trying to charge them what we charge to fix them, and it's like, bro, we don't set the rates, right? Like it's an unfortunate thing that the cost of living for everybody is high. You need to eat, you need to pay your mortgage, your rent, you need a car payment. Like all of us are living the same life here.
Oh yeah.
And yet they just hate on the technician because of the door rate. And we've had so many good conversations in the last little while about what that door rate actually entails. And people, compare, well, this little shop's $120 and the dealership's $200. Yep, I get it. But that $200 is covering so many more employees and options and payroll and, amenities that are offered to the customer that the customer appreciates, customer wants, customer expects, but yet it should all be for free. And I just shake my head. It's like, no, man, that shuttle service, that's a driver, that's a vehicle, that's insurance, that's fuel. That's just one amenity that's offered. Warranty that you get at a dealership or a good shop versus, somebody goes down to O'Reilly's and grabs something and throws in a car, mass airflow, as an example, and there's no warranty on the part, no warranty on the labor. Well, that has to cost more. It has to come from somewhere. And everybody's just like, Fluffy and Jeff are ripping people off. Like, we're not ripping people off, man. We're just trying to fix your darn car,
Yep. And believe me, if the service managers I've been with, if they feel like you are overcharging a customer, they will correct it.
Yeah. Oh.
And they will have a talk with the technician and be like, can't do that.
Yeah.
You cannot. We go by a standard called All Data. Mm-hmm. I think ProDemand, right? Mitchell.
Yeah.
Identifix is another one, I believe.
Yeah.
That has a labor guide. So we have a standard. Now, I don't always agree with that. I don't agree with all of them because, if you try to get an extra hour or two out of it because it's a pain in the butt to deal with, what the job takes, but yet it's always follow all data. Well, all data is a baseline.
Yeah.
It's a guide. It's not a rule.
Most automotive conferences, unfortunately, only focus on one side of the shop. But Tectonic 2026, presented by TechMetric, is different. It's built for the whole shop. Owners, advisors, and technicians all have sessions designed for the work they actually do day to day. It's 3 days in Houston, packed with workshops, panels, and over 1,000 people from the industry are set to attend. And you don't need to be a TechMetric customer to qualify. Hit up the link in the show notes below and check out Tectonic 2026. Register now while you still can to get the early bird pricing. No.
But if you want to be honest, those times are dropping. Those manufacturers are going back into all data, these labor guides, and they're dropping the labor times on customer pay.
Yeah.
as well as, we complain about the warranty times that they're not CP times, but the CP times are dropping as well. And we've had a
Oh,
conversation on that on my stream, and where I'm gonna call out a front motor mount on a vehicle, right? A
mhm,
V6 Pathfinder. I'm gonna just throw it out there. We get paid 4.7, I believe.
mhm.
In 2 years, we might see that drop down to 3.5.
Yeah.
And we're like, I know I remember this being higher. I mean, I had that happen to me on a Murano. A Murano paid like 3.5. I quoted one the other day. It was 1.7. I was like, wait, hold on. And I called my buddy over here. I'm like, dude, I know this used to pay more.
Yeah.
He looks at it. Oh, what? Yeah. So we're noticing a decrease in labor time.
I
So, I
see.
mean, that is going to help the customer out, though.
Well, where I first saw that fluff was on struts and a lot of the Nissan stuff. Like I can remember, it was like 3 hours to do a pair of struts and most of the Nissan front wheel drive stuff, right? And if you had to do that Versa coil spring recall, you probably remember, like you didn't get your 3 hours for that; it was already slashed. And now I'm seeing the labor times in the books are like they're 1 hour to do a strut, and
Yep.
everybody goes, "Well, you're bolting in a complete unit anyway." I understand that, I am sometimes, but lately with the quality of like Monroe, and we'll name some other names of units, complete bolted struts. A lot of guys are not. They're rebuilding they're putting in the whole thing, strut, mount, boot, the whole spring, the whole bit. Well, that's your labor right there. Not getting it out of the damn car. That's nothing.
Yep.
All these times now have been slashed, and everybody's going like, what's happening here? Well, what's happening here is I think that they're going and they're seeing so many warranty times getting turned in now. I think they're doing research studies and they're slashing the pro demand, all data, Mitchell and everybody else is slashing the labor times and going, well, the warranty time is what the guys were all used to doing it in, and they got it done in that. So that's what the labor time for retail is going to be, which brings me to shops that are not running a matrix, a labor matrix. So for every year after, say, 5 years, 3 years, whatever rust condition you want to talk about, if you're not adding labor to that job, you're missing out. You're leaving it on the table. And there's where you can go down a whole other thing about, should you mark up parts? Should you run a matrix? Well, I'm here to tell you that yes, you should, for two reasons. And that's that profit's not a dirty word. And that's how you build up that's how you build that surplus. So when something does go wrong, the part has a defect and the part store says, F you can still do the right thing for the customer because you've been charging those two things, a matrix and a parts markup. If you don't, then either you go in the hole, which we know a lot of shops, some do, but a lot go to the customer and go, I just can't help you out, Mrs. Smith, sorry. And then Mrs. Smith drives off with a really sour taste in her mouth about the whole industry because somebody trying to be cheap couldn't offer Mrs. Smith the same thing that Fluffy, the dealer, offers with 1 year, labor on 1 year warranty, on labor and part. It's we've got to get away from that. Like you said, it's just a labor guide. It's not a labor Bible, And it's where it's always punished me is because I didn't do a lot of re. I did a ton of diag. So it wasn't like I could just necessarily go, I know how long it's going to take me to get to this. I knew how long it maybe took me to diagnose the fuel pump. But, if it's a can problem or an intermittent, I have no idea. Here's 2 hours. Oh, gee, great. Thanks.
Yeah, but when it comes to, let's say, that fuel pump issue, you have to know, okay, you know what? I know I'm not getting fuel.
Yeah.
Right. I know I'm not getting spark. You have to be able to find your way, get to a point where you know which path to take.
Yeah.
And that right there takes a little bit of time. Depending on how you're approaching it. Are you pulling a coil and checking if it has spark, or are you pulling a fuel line, putting a fuel pressure gauge on there? That right there is time. So
yeah. What was the reaction when you gave your notice at the dealer to leave after 13 years?
I walked in and I was like, Mr. Service Manager, I have to give you this. He already knew.
Okay.
So in April we had lost our service manager of 15, 16 years,
Wow.
right? So there was a lot of stuff going on that led up to that. So shortly after that, I told this guy, because he's trying to get to know everybody, and
Mm-hmm.
there was a big three that he really wanted to focus on, which was me, the other master, and then one of my apprentices that was really outperforming.
Yeah.
So I told him, I'm like, look, I told so and so that I'm giving it till the end of the year. I told him this in February. I'm giving it till the end of the year. If not, I'm jumping ship. He goes, well, nobody jumped ship on me, right? So this was when he's getting to know me. So when I go into his office to give him the paper, he's like, no, you're not leaving me. I'm like, what do you mean? I'm giving you a paper. I'm uh I'm giving you till the end of July, beginning of August.
Yeah.
He goes, but you said you'd give me you gave what's his name till the end of 25. You haven't even gave me 6 months.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, yeah, but I can't. And then, he's like, well, just sit on it for the weekend and give it to me Monday if you still feel the same. Like, all right. I already knew I'm a type of guy, I do not like change. So
Yeah.
if I've already made up my decision, if I made up my mind, that's it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm done with it. You try to convince me otherwise, it starts to irritate me. It starts to piss me off,
Yep.
right?
Yep. I
He
can
doesn't know
understand
me
that.
like that. So, Monday comes around, um, and I give him the paper, and he's like, there's no way you want to leave. You've been here so long and this and that. He goes, what do you need? I'm like, look, the hours ain't here. I've struggled. I've already gotten my car repossessed once. I'm not gonna let it happen again. I need to go where there's hours, and there's just no hours here. There's too many techs to fight with.
Yeah.
It's just I'm done. He goes, well, what are you making now? And he tells me, and then, or I tell him, and then he goes, well, what do you need to make every week? I tell him, and then he's like, okay, I'm gonna see what I could do. I'm like, it's not gonna work. It's not gonna work. He
Yeah.
goes, let me just try it. All right. The clock's already running because I've done turned in my 2 weeks notice
Mm-hmm.
at this point. So a couple days later, he calls me back in. I'm like, come on. So I go in there. What's going on? Oh, well, we can meet you at this. Guaranteed. It was $104,000 a year, is what
Wow.
it averaged out to. And I'm just thinking to myself, like, now, I told you this 725 guaranteed on the clock ain't nothing. It's embarrassing.
Yeah.
Now something wants to be done. I can't do it. I can't do it. Well, let me
Mm-hmm.
try it. Let me try to figure something out. I was like, I mean, you could try, but I'm pretty set on it. So I end up in the office 3 or 4 more times after that. And then finally I'm like, you know what? I'm like, look, I just can't. All right. It's getting to the point where you're interfering with me trying to get stuff done before I leave here. And it's starting to piss me off. Like,
Yeah.
I just can't do it. So he's like, all right, well, I appreciate you trying. I appreciate you letting me try. So at the end of the day, I left on a good note.
Mm-hmm.
So, it sucks. It
It's
really does, but
it's
it just had to
frustrating
be done.
always to me when I hear this story. That somebody says they finally then reach into their pockets and pay, or come up with this number that is really what probably should have been there all along, right? But they're holding it tight to their chest. That to me has always been a very FU kind of thing to the idea of what I'm truly worth, right? Like and worth is a funny thing, and our own value and all that kind of stuff. We talk about it all the time, but I mean, it's like they know that you're struggling to make hours. They know that the hours are
Yeah,
not there. I take it offensive when when they say, "Well, what are we paying you now?" Like you don't know. Like you should, the manager should
yeah,
know what every tech is getting paid. 100%. You're in charge of these people. You should know. You should be looking at their hours of production, and then you should know what they're getting paid. And you should be able to do the friggin' math to understand that, whoa, they're not taking home much money every week. Maybe that's why they're the way they are. Maybe that's the way why things are going the way it is. Maybe that's why they're hustling through jobs. Maybe that's why their quality control sucks, because they're trying to get more done, you know?
Oh yeah. And I can't blame this guy altogether because
Well,
I
he's
only knew him for 4 months
yeah, he's coming
by the
into
time
it.
I left.
Fired.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he had a lot on his plate. And I told him, I'm sorry, I'm sorry you're losing a master. For a service manager to lose a master tech is the worst thing they can go through.
Yeah. Yeah. It don't look good on him being a brand new hire there
Nope.
to lose one of the two masters, only two. That's the other thing, right? Like when it's different when Fluff is there and they've got 5 other master techs on a team of 15, say, right? 1/3 are master certified. When only 2?
Yeah.
And he had to know coming in that this was going to be a possibility, that he was going to have somebody leave, because you can't look back at 13 years of poor performance, or 15 years, whatever the number is that you're replacing, and not go in expecting that people are going to be right on the edge, going to be a little worked up, a little frustrated, a little lackadaisical, lacking motivation, whatever you want to call it. If you don't expect that going in, you probably aren't even a leader, let alone a manager. In this industry, you know, the buzzword is leadership, leadership, leadership. You need to be a leader. Well, I can tell you that most of the time the shop leader is not the manager. But when it comes down to being able to keep somebody there, the leader in a lot of shops can't do that. And it's oftentimes I've seen it's the leaders that get fed up and leave. Mm-hmm. You know, because they've done that extra to, you know, mentor this young person like you did, you know, or keep trying to hit that thing that they need to hit. Well, they're giving it, you know, and yet people are like just sitting back going, gee, these numbers don't look very good. That's not a leader. A leader is somebody that's going around going, what's going on? How do I help this? How do I fix this? That's what a leader does, you know, gets to know their people. I get it. He's new, but that's what a true leader in this industry should be about. And I see a lot of guys, a lot of content creators talking about leadership. And in the next breath, they're talking about the culture in a lot of these dealerships that's toxic. And they're talking about, and they all know the reason why it is. And they all just talk around the topic and say, oh, it can work. Flat rate can work. Yeah, it can. It certainly can. 100%. I've worked it. You worked it. Well, but the flat rate don't work when it's no longer working. When the work is not coming in and you're paying your guys that way, you're just punishing them for your inability to run the business effectively. And that's what it boils down to me, is that's why guys are like, oh, Jeff, you hate flat rate. I don't hate flat rate. Nope. I hate how it's used. I hate how you can be a shit owner and a shit manager, and because you run a flat rate pay system, it covers up a lot of mistakes that you're making in the business. I hate that. But there's lots of jobs, you know, if I didn't have to do diag heavy, like I've always done, I'd have picked flat rate every time. Lots of those jobs I could get done within the time. I'd be wanting to. But somebody has to solve the problems, and somebody has to solve the difficult shit. And that's where flat rate don't work. And if you have underperforming people on the front counter that can't sell, won't sell, don't know how, you're punishing everybody in the back because of your choice to keep them people up there. And that's the other thing. A lot of these guys, your service manager, he probably might never have been even a service writer. So how is he going to lead them to become better at their job? Just tell them to sell more? That's not.
Yeah. You know, there's a, I feel like every service manager should have been a porter, should have been a technician, should have been an advisor.
Yeah.
Not for 1 year,
No.
multiple years. And multiple years as being a tech, multiple years as being a advisor, and then they qualify to be a service manager.
Yeah.
But
I mean, I worked with an advisor who didn't want to make too much money because he ended up paying too much in alimony.
You
So
know,
he didn't always want to sell that hard.
the shitty part is too, and I was they would give me a lot of shit because I had a lot of insight with my previous service manager, the one that I was with for a long time.
Yeah,
He would talk about the business with me. And for a long time, we blamed a lot of stuff on him. Then I was in the office at one point. He receives a phone call. He's trying to make something happen for us. He gets a phone call and then he loses it. He's like, I can't do this. These guys are going to be upset. And then right then and there, I was like, oh,
yeah,
he has to answer to somebody as well.
yeah.
The service managers do not call all the shots.
No,
And so, we put a lot of blame on them, but they have their hands tied too
sure they
by
do.
upper management.
Yeah,
And I had to understand that, it takes maturing to understand that it's
yeah.
not always the service managers.
No, it's not. And I've seen advisors that were poor performing last a long, long, long time because people think they're the face of the department. You know what I mean? Well, these people have been coming here forever. They come in and they expect to see so and so. Yeah, well, let's look at the numbers. So and so is like telling them when the car needs a big ticket repair that would make some people some money, or he's telling them to go trade the car in. That's a liability. That's somebody that's not. How do I say that? They're advocating for the customer. Sure, I get that, but they're almost like at a conflict of interest within their own department, and that.
Oh, absolutely.
I was never good with ever. Right, like if you've got a person that can just, hey, Fluffy condemned your CVT in your 5-year-old Nissan Rogue. Okay, you got this Nissan Rogue paid off, and then it's going to be $3,000 to put a CVT in it, just round numbers, and they can afford the $3,000. But if you send them over to the sales department to see about a trade in, and I was your service manager and you were my service writer, when that customer leaves, we're going to have a conversation because you're expected to do something, and it's work in my department, not work for the sales department. And sales might give you a big handshake or whatever, $100 bill or a bottle of booze. I don't know. But you just now, really hurt somebody in the back's pay, and you really hurt your own, And I never understood that thinking, why they would do something like that. And then I realized that, like, a lot of times that advisor is liked by upper management. That's how they become the face of the department. And I think because upper management looks at it and goes like, they keep, that's advocating for the customer. They bought 5 Nissans from us. I don't care if you buy 10 Nissans from me. If I'm in the back and everything you do is only warranty and you never fix anything and you just trade it and buy another one, you're not my customer.
Yeah.
You're a sales customer.
I see the frustration with that. I have the same frustration, but I also see why they allow it.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Because the way dealerships run is the number of new vehicles they have on the road.
Sure. Yeah.
Right. For every new vehicle creates an opportunity to make more money.
Yeah.
That's how they see it. So whether it's warranty or customer pay after they run out of warranty, I don't understand it. It makes the sales department money. It makes the advisor money when they, refer them. Does nothing for the tech.
No.
Really?
No.
Oh, well, they're in a brand new vehicle. It keeps them here at the dealership longer because now we got them under warranty. Yeah, but you just lost all that CP work.
Yeah. Or even if you get to do that transmission, say they decide, okay, Fluff, you're going to put that tranny in that one and we're going to put it back onto the lot and sell it. You're not going to get their full retail. I don't care what anybody says. They don't pay full retail for you to do it. When they know how fast you can do it under warranty, they're going to want to pay just the warranty labor to get that training done.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of techs will go, yeah, it's better than nothing. It's better than not getting it all. That's the thing that always just yanks me about the time idea altogether. Jobs just have a certain value. It's not about the time. The time is what determines, sure, what it can get paid. But some jobs just have a certain value. And is some work better than no work? Sure. But if I followed the rules and the thing made it out of warranty and now it's broke and it should pay me 8 hours to do it under warranty, getting only 4 is a very, it's another one of them big FUs again, right? Like it's, you did it in 4, you didn't go over, but frig, like you didn't get that 4 extra hours of pay that you're really entitled to get. And that's where, this mindset of technicians always whining, technicians always complaining. That's where that comes from, right? Is when we become efficient, you punish us. When we're inefficient, you punish us. It never made sense to me.
It's just the stuff that we deal with. We get used to it too.
Yeah, 100%.
We get used to the toxicity of the industry.
Yeah. What's the new shop? What's it like? More people? Like you said, I know you had some friends there, guys that you had worked with in the past that were there.
Correct.
So what's that been like to come back and see them?
Good.
Yeah.
The GM, I used to work with him. He used to run the store I was at before. Yeah. So I'm very familiar with him. I'm very familiar with 90% of the sales department because they're now his old crew.
Yeah.
The service manager is kind of young, but he's a lot for the technicians.
Mm-hmm.
He's there for the technicians a lot. So, it's only three technicians in the main shop, 3 masters. Mm-hmm. And so we all feed off of each other.
But see, to have that 3 masters in your shop, you left only had 2. Mm-hmm. But everybody in your shop is a master.
Correct.
Right now, that's saying something immediately about the culture. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, is one of the young men that you're working with, did he used to be an apprentice with you at the other previous store?
No.
Okay.
So one of the guys that I'm with right now, me and him were in Express at about the same time. We came up together.
Right on.
So he's a couple years younger than me. He came into the industry about 1.5 years after I did. But we worked in Express together.
Yeah.
We got moved up to main shop around the same time. We became a master a week within each other.
Sweet.
And so we just, during COVID and some of the hard times, we brought each other up.
Yeah.
And we had this friendly competition all the time when we were younger. So, being back with him and then another guy that came into our shop in 22, he was with us for about 1.5 years, but we just built that relationship.
Yeah.
And so now I'm working with both of them, and it's been good. It's been good. I've been making videos with them, and
yeah. Well, that's what a team's truly about, right? Is like when you guys all click, it becomes very easy. I don't see, because I talked about me, like I had guys I really, really liked, and then I had people on the team that I didn't really care for, right? Mm-hmm. The people that I really, really liked, like we just clicked. I would help them and they would help me. And it was just we were kind of always knew what each other was going through at work and at home. And we're always kind of giving perspective, giving insight, reminding them, no, remember that one that you had that was doing the same thing like 3 years ago? Yeah. What, did you look there yet? That's kind of how you raise each other up, If you got everybody that's like so at each other's throat for competition for, the last bone, like that don't build team. That builds lone wolf, and that's not, it's not good. It's not good.
Yeah.
So so since you've been there, the shop's going up production wise?
Well, no, not really. Okay. So when I got there, just so happened to be start of school.
Mm-hmm.
School started, and that affects us
Yeah,
tremendously here.
huge.
And then we had the government shutdown.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, they were up in the summer and then they fell off, and then it's been slow steady.
Yeah.
But that's where having only 3 technicians becomes very important, because the work is still spread just between 3, not between 8
Yeah.
or 10 or however many we had at the previous shop. So we're still able to kind of make a comfortable living,
Mm-hmm.
you know.
Yeah.
And it just, a lot of it just comes down to luck of the draw as well. I could have a bad week one week, and then the other guys are flourishing, and then the next week I got all these hours and they're down in the dumps. And it's
Yeah.
when they would ask me, the current manager and the general manager, they would ask me, "Oh, so how do you like it here?" It's still a dealership, don't get me wrong. uh, the environment here is better.
Yeah.
I'm not as pissed off, but it's still a dealership. We're still working with a manufacturer and having to follow their rules and do their warranty.
Yeah.
So, you just got to take the good with the bad. I'm happier there is what matters. I'm happier there.
Yeah, and I think that's at the end of the day what they're worried about, right? Or focused on, or should be focused. 100%, they should be focused on that. And I mean, and you make a good point, because it's like sometimes it doesn't even matter about the hours. It just matters sometimes about the processes and the procedures that you've got to follow based on what the OE sets down. And I mean, I go back to like the battery test thing, like that whole idea in the industry that like just frustrates the frig out of me, because it's like, okay, so that car sat on that lot for 9 months, right? And didn't move, didn't sell. We know no matter what Midtronic says, that battery's pooched. Like it sat there, it's supposed to have the radio fuse pulled out of it so that it doesn't suck on the battery. But we know that the salesman can't remember which fuse to install, so they don't want to go on a road test with a radio. It doesn't work, and so the fuse stays in, drains the battery. The BS they make you go through that just to charge the battery up to get 3 failed slips before they'll let you put a battery in that they'll pay you hardly any time to put in is nonsense to me.
Yep.
And that's just one example of process and procedures being set down by the OEs that really frustrate the techs. It's not just about the time. I mean, the time sucks. I can do it within the time, but it sucks. It's that, instead of just coming forward and being honest and going, listen, I know. Because who's really responsible is it? Well, it's the lot person's responsibility to keep them gassed up, start them up, let them run. I mean, up here, like, we get such friggin' freezing cold winters that, like, our stuff, the battery will go drain down in no time. And then we're out there constantly boosting cars. And then they let them run for all of 5 minutes, and then they shut them off. And next week they go and boost them again because they didn't let them run enough to charge anything, because they haven't filled them with fuel, because we don't want to fill them with fuel until the customer's paid for that. Like, it's just little things like that, little nuances that stress people out, because it's set down by the OE or it's set down by the boss. That's the stuff that when they're not listening to the text going, this is what really frustrates me. When they're not listening to that, you're not going to make it better,
Nope.
I mean, yeah, we can, as a collective, sometimes we can become very negative and just dwell on all the rotten stuff, complain constantly. But it's that little shit of just like, you need 3 failed slips before you can put that battery in. Get bent. Like, I mean, just leave it out there then. I don't care what you do with it. Like, go boost it and give it to somebody else. Have them tow it in. I don't care. Like, there goes your CSI. Like, it's not great, but people don't understand where that attitude eventually trickles down. Is because it's the same thing of you saying like, hey, this really sucks. And it goes, well, it's just the way it is. That's just the way it is an answer that I never have been able in all my career to really stomach. And when we talk about now this leadership buzz, culture, it's a word, it's a phrase you're not even supposed to use. So why are we still using it?
Yep.
So What?
And
Go ahead. Go ahead.
and I feel like so that whole thing with Jim Farley and
Mm.
talking about Ford and stuff like that. I think that trickled down to some manufacturers, and they're starting to realize, like, okay, you know what, maybe we do have an issue.
Yeah.
Because I know it. I probably shouldn't talk about this, but Nissan held a whole like seminar type deal with us to get our input, and we now have the ability to where if we feel like something is underpaid,
Mm-hmm.
we can build a case with them as a technician. And once they get enough cases built, they'll look into it
Yeah.
and adjust time accordingly. The only issue with warranty is being a technician, being flat rate. You're not supposed to break even.
Yeah.
You're supposed to come out on top. So doing the job faster. Doing a let's say doing a engine for 15 hours, you're moving and scooting.
Mm-hmm.
You're scooting and booting, like you no time to take for the smokers, if take a cigarette break or go into the restroom or something to
Yep.
slow you down, right? You really have to be on that thing constantly. That creates some mistakes.
Mm-hmm.
So when you're getting paid warranty and you're only getting paid 10 hours versus 15,
Yeah.
you're trying to hustle even faster
Yeah.
and creating more problems for getting clamps, for getting bolts,
Forgetting to plug something in,
for getting to plug
forgetting
something.
to
Yep.
pinching the wire because you didn't like you're booting and scooting to get that engine slung in there, right? And there's that harness, and all of a sudden it just winds up between the transmission and the bell housing, right? Like you just did that, it's how we break off, an AC line or something like that. Like it's all little stuff like that happens because why? We're just hammering it, man. And I mean, I've heard another guy with a podcast. He was talking about how his wife's Suburban with a 6.2 was in at GM for the recall in the engine. And they got it back and it was just thrown together. Just a mess. Rad fan shroud wasn't even close to being right. Loose bolts in the exhaust, engine mount stuff, all this kind of stuff. Harness routed wrong. And everybody goes, well, that mechanic just doesn't friggin' care. I'm so tired of hearing people that have never done what we do assuming that something is not done properly because we don't care. And I understand there's a responsibility to care. But if they saw the culture that we're expected to work in, the things that we're expected to do for the time that we're given, for the money that we're given, I think more people on the internet that come after you and come after me and come after all of us, maybe you'd understand why stuff gets like missed, because you're expected that, if they say it takes 12 hours to change that engine in that Titan truck, you're expected to get it done before 12 hours is up, because otherwise they're like, well, look at your production. It sucks. Okay. Can anybody else in the building do it in 10, 12? Not yet. Okay. Well, then shut up. If I do it in 14 and he does it in 12, go lift the hoods on them. Go compare them. Whose looks better? Whose looks like it was never touched? Oh, that guy that went 14. Yep. Maybe the real time then should be 14, And this is where people, when they get on me about, you're always talking about flat rate. No, I'm talking about incentivized pay period, because it's like, if part of that bonuses me up, then I want every hour I can get on the friggin' job that I need to do the best possible way. And I don't want to be punished if it just takes longer because of situations that are beyond my control. I don't want to be punished if it's an unrealistic time. I don't want to be punished, period. And that's what Incentivized and flat rate does. Yes, when you're a line guy and you've done 3 or 4, like your CVTs, and we've done forever, yeah, no problem. But man, I remember watching them do the first couple of Titan short blocks. And I was watching the guys just like, they'd be 4 days on it, and to be perfect when it left, but they didn't get paid 4 days pay.
Yep. They can be a pain in the ass.
Right. And it's like, So then we had what I always thought fluff was we had a bunch of guys in the shop, and one would come in and they'd say, "No fault found." I don't hear no engine knock. Or they'd go, "I don't care. I hear it. I ain't doing it. You can fire me. You can fucking starve me. I ain't doing it." And people call that insubordination. Technicians call it survival. And, I'm not necessarily advocating that that's what you do, but I have told more than one technician that if the time just doesn't seem fair, then you got to have a talk about it, and maybe it's a better job then for somebody that's still on an hourly pay and they get a chance to do something big like that and learn than punishing your flat rate guy with a job that's going to suck.
Yeah.
That's just, and, again, as like you, right, as I talk to some of the other people that have been in business, I understand sometimes why it's that way. Why they can't always do what they, pay you more for it. But I also remind everybody when they say, Jim Farley has never told the dealerships to pay the technicians flat rate. It's not sent down by the, the powers that be and the OEs that they have to pay you that way. That's just how the dealers choose to pay you because they have a labor guide that says it should only take this long to do. And, so we want you to only do it within that time. That's fine. No problem. But nowhere does it say that, like, when there's no work coming in or it's a lot of crap work at once, that you're only supposed to get paid the jobs that you produce. That's the difference, right? And people in the industry talk about, well, there's other blue collar trades pay that way too. No, not the way we do. A lot of them get bonused on the production, sure. But I've been in a dealer where, no cars came in that day. I got paid zero. I lost money to drive to work.
Yeah. To go to work and to eat. Yeah. Definitely been there.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's when I remind people, the OEs are not forcing you to work flat rate. Your dealer owner or your management at your dealer is forcing you to work flat rate. So if it works for you, work it for sure. But we have to get a lot better too at helping our people out when we know we're coming up on the lean times. Maybe talk to them about, like, kind of keep some hours away, stay saved up. And I've talked to different guys, and it's like, some of the dealers, they get them up to 50, and then any hours after that, they allow them to bank them and take them on lean weeks. You ever had that opportunity, Fluff?
No, I haven't.
Yeah. I think there might be something there for some of the guys, because I know, like, January always was lean. September was always lean, trying to think of when else.
But see, that at the same time, that's so if you bank those hours, right, you've already completed the work.
Mm-hmm.
What is that doing? What's the dealership doing for you besides holding on to it? It's still your pay that you're not getting paid when it's done.
Yeah.
So it's only more of a savings.
Mm-hmm.
It's not them. I'm gonna say helping you out.
No, it's your money.
They're not paying you. It's your money.
Yeah.
So that's a hard conversation between flat rate, salary, hourly. Because when you're flat rate, you control your check to a point. When you're hourly, you're not expected to lean on your box, be on your phone,
Mm-hmm.
et cetera, et cetera. Ultimately, if there's no work coming in and you're hourly, they're not going to want to pay you on the clock while you're there.
That's right.
They're going to, you know what, shop is clean. You know what, go ahead and go home at 1.
Yeah.
What, sir? I got to be here. Nah, we can't justify paying you if there ain't nothing coming in.
Mm-hmm.
Same thing with salary. Your salary, you're gonna be expected to do something. Go scrub a toilet. Go do this. Go do that. Outside of what your job description is.
Sure.
So it's always a hard conversation when it comes to hourly, flat rate, or salary.
Yeah. I remember I was at an hourly shop in the wintertime, January, February, It was a tire shop, of all things, and we'd already just killed it for tires in November and December. I'd shovel the parking lot, and I mean, I shoveled like it was a big lot.
Mm-hmm.
I just was out there with a shovel. That's what Canadian kids did, and why would I do that? Because I could put my headphones on. I could be with my thoughts. I was out of the spotlight. You know what I mean? Not in the rifle sights of like, is he being busy? Are we going to send him home? And there were so many days that I'd shovel, and then the next day they'd still send me home because it didn't snow.
Yep.
And I'm like, that little guy over there, like, he never gets sent home. Yeah, never gets sent home. So that was the other thing with like, and I've talked about that hourly. I'm pretty good now where it's like, especially if it's summertime, if there's no work, I don't want to be there. Don't matter. You could pay me. I just would rather not be there. But I do know a lot of guys that they bank on being at the shop 44 hours, getting paid 44 hours worth of pay. That's how they figure out that they're going to make their payments, at the month.
Yeah.
You start sending those guys home, you got to really look at like, how effective are you in your business on getting work into the shop and, capitalizing on the work that's there. That's why I sound like a broken record, but I keep coming back to people that want to do something for free. Stick that wiper blade on, or stick that headlight bulb in, or stick that air filter in. We all get so militant about it. Go, F you, I'm not doing it for free. That's why. Because every little bit of those jobs that we could do and charge 0.3, 0.4, 0.5, whatever, give away an hour diag or something like that, that can all go into the pot to cover those lean days.
Yep.
But if you're just using it as your marketing to get this reputation, they really look, they're fair, I hate that fucking word. They're fair. They put that bulb in and, like I watched him do it and it only took him 10 minutes and he scratched his hand up really good, but he got it done for me and didn't charge me. You charge him half an hour for that. Still scratch his hand. But you'd have money to cover that next morning then where nothing came in. One appointment got canceled, something like that. We all know that. That happens, eh, Fluff? You look at your route sheet and you're like, we got 20 appointments tomorrow. 10 show up. I'm so fortunate right now. My boss will tell me, yeah, there's this Kia coming in tomorrow that, remember we looked at it? Yep. I remember that one. Yeah. Misfire and oil consumption. Yep. I remember that one. And then it don't show up the next day. I don't get upset. Whereas the old me would be like, call that woman up, get her in here. I need that hour.
Yeah.
It's crazy, man.
Crazy. It is. And, what are we going to do about it? What do we do about it?
Well, so I kind of wanted to talk to you about something here because I've seen you a couple weeks ago. I kind of saw some of your content, and it was leaning very much towards like you were kind of patting yourself on the back about what some of the dealer guys do when it comes to diag or knowing the product, right? Mm-hmm. And you kind of made some bold statements, and I'm like, that's my boy, because I've been guilty of that before too, right? I have said on more than one occasion, if back in my day, God, I sound old. If you brought a Chrysler in from 96 to 2006, there wasn't too many people in the city that I worked in that knew that product better than me. I would argue that to the day I was done, because it was like drinking from a fire hose. You just got exposed to all of it. You had no choice. And I saw you and you were talking the same thing. And, it's always, these cars, Fluff, really well. That product line. You're a master. What do you think about that when you see people, like, because you handle it better than me, but you see people talk about dealer techs all the time. What do you, like, you're proud to be a dealer tech?
I am.
Yeah.
And that is because, I know the work I put out. Mm-hmm. So I am prideful of the work I put out.
Right.
And that goes back to what you were talking about with, leaving harnesses and bolts and this and that. Mistakes are going to happen.
Sure.
Mistakes are going to happen. And that's going to come back to the individual. but several mistakes on a single vehicle is when you're like, okay, you know what's going on here?
Yeah.
Lack of pride, lack of responsibility. But when people talk about dealer techs, look, not all dealers are the same.
No.
Not all dealers are the same. And, you know, not all independent shops are the same either. There's independent shops that will follow manufacturers to a T.
Yeah.
To a T. And I respect those. But then at the same time, it's not always the shop. It's the individual.
Mm-hmm.
You could have a badass technician at an independent shop. You could have a badass technician at a dealer, but then at the same time, you can have a horrible tech at either one.
So you were just talking about it comes down to the individual, the technician in the bay. Right?
Yes.
People have heard me say that all the time. Without looking for the easy answers, what determines for you whether you have a good day or so-so day?
I mean, the easy answer would say making hours, but not struggling on a vehicle that is, a problem child, or, sometimes the manufacturers are right there learning about the vehicle with you when it's under warranty, when it's a new product.
Yeah.
I have, for instance, I have one I've had for about 3 months, wheel speed sensor issue. This code it's giving me is an open short. What? It's got a code for an open. It's got a code for a short.
Yeah.
I checked the harness. Harness is good. Load tested it. It's good. I'm like, is this an internal ABS issue? I questioned them, because that's what I was leaning towards. Oh no! And let me tell you this: it's reading. Let me see, 665 kilometers per hour is what it's giving me at all times. Yeah. So I'm like, do we have an ABS issue? And no, put a wheel speed sensor in it. What? Okay. Put a wheel speed, contact them, code's still there. Check pin drag, pin fit, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
I checked everything. I had another guy come out. Okay, you know what? Put an ABS module in it. Put an ABS module in it. Same thing is going on. So now I'm at a stance. I'm stuck. I don't even want to deal with this vehicle anymore.
Sure. Yeah.
Because I wasted so much time. When it's under warranty and it's weird issues like that, we do not like to throw modules at vehicles.
No.
Right? So before we condemn a module, we are going through it again. And that's where we lose time, because if that module doesn't fix it and another part has to be thrown on it, let's say a more simple part, or a fuse, it ends up being a fuse or pin fit, the manufacturer's not going to want to pay for that module because it wasn't a defected part.
That's right.
That caused the issue.
Yeah.
So we have to be very sure that we are hitting the nail on the head, crossing our T's, dotting our I's, and, dealing with weird issues is when you have a bad day. A good day is quick diagnosis, accurate diagnoses, and ultimately getting stuff sold. I don't care if it's an air filter, a brake flush, power steering flush, just getting stuff sold.
Yeah. And it's the same, I say that too. It's the nightmare cars that make me such a detractor for flat rate. And here's the thing. It works. Flat rate works on a lot of shops that I talk to, but there's always a dedicated guy in the shop that deals with the problem cars. And he just lets the rest of the guys turn the work that, needs to get done. And they all make on flat rate. They're killing it. They're 150% effective and, proficient and all that kind of jazz. And then these nightmare cars are getting handled by somebody that, let's just be real, like your problem with that ABS or something. It's just going to take time. It's just going to eat your lunch. It's just going to suck. And you're going to get through it and you're going to solve it. And, you're gonna fix the car. But like when we punish everybody equally with these problem cars, it keeps it fair. But you end up with 4 guys, 5 guys, 10 guys in a shop that hate the process.
Yeah.
And that's where I'm at with it, is because it's like every tech I know that back in the day that I worked with, like they've almost all, except for 2, have gone on to, hourly. They won't work flat rate anymore. Because at one point or another, we all got jobs that just sucked. And you'll see it online. Guys are like, well, that's just the way it is. It's just, blah, blah. Sure. And if it's dispatched fairly but like you and I know, there's some guys in the shop that pick and choose, don't go right up, no fault found, don't go after the hard stuff, don't care, don't take pride in being able to solve anything, and they just continuously look good. Management sometimes thinks that's how we're all supposed to look like that.
Yeah.
We all can't do that, right, Fluff?
Correct.
And that's not realistic, and that's the downfall of the system. So I say, like, for people, either take your dedicated foreman or whatever, your leader. That's who tackles the complicated cars, the science projects, the ass kickers. Pay them a good wage, so that they can figure this stuff out, so that they can teach people when they finally find it. Wow, this really kicked my can. Look at how I changed my process to solve this kind of problem next time. That's what builds learning. That's what builds skill. If everybody is just dodging bullets to not get those certain cars, you hold back everybody collectively.
And let me say this. If you're going to have a foreman, have a working foreman.
Yes.
Not a desk foreman.
Yeah.
a glorified dispatcher, if you will.
Yeah.
I'm going to be honest. That's one of the reasons why I left where I left.
Really? Eh?
Yeah.
So what was his day-to-day routine? What was his responsibilities?
Making sure we were doing something.
Making sure we were busy. Yeah.
Making sure we and that was a thing too, because we had a lot of inexperienced techs that were, learning and trying to come up, and Fluff, so-and-so can't handle this. Can you do it? Dude, I want to make some money too.
Yeah.
You're the foreman. Go figure it out. Right. I don't get paid enough for that. That's not my problem. That is a problem for you to take up with our service director, our service manager.
Why'd you agree?
Go deal with that. Yeah. I don't want to turn wrenches no more. You're the foreman. You are the foreman.
Yeah.
The guy's cool. He's cool to talk to. He's cool to, BS with. But when it came down to that, that was one of the issues I was having, like, and it seemed like he was giving me more and more off brands that came through the shop. Right? A dealer tech doesn't want to work on something that he knows he's going to lose his ass on.
Yeah.
I told him, keep feeding me these different cars, and y'all are going to regret it. I'm going to get comfortable working on other shit, and I'm going to jump.
Yeah.
Because I've built experience.
I found a lot of foremen too at dealerships. What they end up being is the go-between between the advisor and the technician. And a lot of the time the foreman got tasked with doing the job that really the advisor should have been doing. Right? Sometimes people think it's nuts. Sometimes that advisor needs to get in the car and ride with the customer and hear the noise or feel what they're feeling. Or here's the other thing. Go ride around with them. And I said it before. And if it rides just like the same 5 rogues that you've driven in the last 3 days, there ain't nothing wrong with it. Right? And tell the customer that before you ever open a damn work order and send it to the shop and make a warranty claim and get a CSI score tabulated and written out. Go do your flipping job and actually, advocate for your customer. See if there's actually anything really broke or not.
Yeah.
And if there ain't, don't waste everybody else's time. But that's what they would have these foremen doing, driving around with a customer, listen to this, listen to that. Oh, it's been back 2 times. And, she does say it's intermittent and it's not always there, but go drive with her again. Man, at some point we need to have the conversation that, like, he's got other stuff he needs to be doing.
You know, I hate intermittent issues. If it's that intermittent, you know, I tell my advisors, look, they still have warranty for 30,000 miles.
That's right.
If the intermittent is so spread out, wait till it's a little more frequent before
Yeah.
bringing it in.
Yeah.
You know, make sure that the customer can actually duplicate it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And, you know, you say 30,000 miles. Some of them, it's like you got warranty for 2 more years, 3 more years. Like the car's 2 months old. What's the big flipping rush? Like, I get it. If you got to tow it in because it won't start and it's intermittent, yeah, that's frustrating.
Yep.
But if you're like, every time you drive it down the highway at this certain speed, going the crosswind at this and the, you know, sometimes you get a noise, a wind noise.
Wind noise.
Like, F off of that, man. Roll your radio up. Turn your radio up. It's, you know, you're asking us to try and you know, you're asking us to really try and pull the rabbit out of the hat. And I mean, we're good, but we're not magicians. Like, we can't just snap our fingers and make this shit go away, you know? And
dude.
You know?
We see so many issues with radios now.
Yeah.
With radios, Bluetooth, CarPlay, Apple, what is it? Android Auto. Oh, it's not working, and I need to be able to see my map. And
yeah.
And we hook it up, and we're like, we can't duplicate it. I spent an hour with the lady one time trying to figure this stuff out. Could not figure it out. It worked with everybody's phone in the shop.
Mm-hmm.
With her phone, it wouldn't. What does that tell you? It's your phone.
That's right. But it can't be
her
phone.
They were adamant that it was happening with hers and her husband's. And, you know, yes, it was happening with her phone. We've seen it. Right. And I was going to build a case with Nissan. I already knew what Nissan was going to say.
Yeah.
Then we call her in and they wanted us to connect her phone to another vehicle and make sure that it was happening on that vehicle. And ultimately, right, it would be her phone.
Yeah.
She goes, oh, no, I factory reset the radio and factory reset my phone. And it fixed. You know how much time I spent not only... And advisors are all the same. Well, can you try it again in in an hour? In 30 minutes?
Yeah.
Try it again. No, I'm not going to try it again. I already wasted some time on it. I'm not going to try it again. Oh, well, can you bring the customer back here? Oh, man.
Yeah. I remember watching them tear apart a Pathfinder because she said that, like, she couldn't get it was either 3 or 4 of the phones in the car to pair to the Wi-Fi at the same time. She get 3, trying to get the 4th one. Because, again, she's got her phone and 3 kids in the back or 2 kids. I can't remember the exact number, but it was a lot. Couldn't all get hooked into the hotspot at the same time. That was just too frustrating. And me, I'm like, oh, there's so many more things to be upset about with driving a Pathfinder than that. So many things, right? But and I get it. It's their complaint. It's their concern that whatever they used to drive didn't do it, or it was what they were told that would be able to be done by this. I understand all that.
I wish when it comes to multimedia, or not multimedia, infotainment and, you know, accessories that these are, I wish that, it's going to sound bad. I wish manufacturer would say there will be issues, glitches, but it's a convenience thing. Mm-hmm. It's not going to make or break your vehicle.
No.
Yeah. But they won't do that.
No, because then it's like, because you know what's going to happen, Fluff. The first brand out there that says ours operate flawlessly, we're not going to say that. We've got it all figured out. They'll run to them to buy their cars, which is absurd to me now, that people are more concerned with the infotainment system in the vehicle than the powertrain of it. They don't give a shit. Nope. Like, we can tell them that this transmission, every one of them is going to fall out within 60,000 miles. Everyone. I don't care.
It got a big 15-inch display.
And my Uconnect always works. You know, my good friend Dan, God love him, he's got a Durango, has all kinds of infotainment issues in it, right? It's not constantly Uconnect is kicking him out, and then he has to go back in, and then it works. And he's got cases built with Chrysler on it, or Stellantis now, And yeah, he's been back to the dealer 3 or 4 times and it frustrates the hell out of him. But he's like, even he laughs because he's an old tech himself, and he goes, "It's just really first world problems." You know what I mean? Like otherwise, like the car, yeah, he had that time when it wouldn't start, and they put a starter in it. But otherwise, it's been a pretty reliable car for him. Mm-hmm. And I'm sitting here thinking like, I don't even link my phone to my Jeep. I listen to the satellite radio and like I change the stations and I drive. Yeah. I don't care that my Spotify playlist doesn't come up on my big friggin' whoop. But
like you're texting to drive anyways. Look at your phone.
That's right. Yeah.
I'm not saying that you should, but they do it, and when it comes to an issue with their radio, they're like, I can't take my eyes off the road. You're doing it to look at the screen on your vehicle.
Yeah.
Anyways.
What's some of the common repairs you're seeing coming in right now that you really don't want to see?
Oof.
Still
I don't know. It's kind of it's just all over the place right now.
Still a lot of dirty throttle bodies and mass airflows. Yeah. They ain't going on.
The 1.5 turbo engines.
Oh yeah.
Those are. I mean, we're not seeing a bunch of them, but they have their issues. The kicks have their issues. I mean, every vehicle is going to have their issues.
What about
it's a spotty conversation right there.
What about the Leafs? Do you touch a lot of them?
No, my dealership is not EV certified right now.
Oh, right on.
So the technicians are, but the dealership itself is missing a couple things that is required to be able to service them.
Right. Yeah.
So I'm like,
we just had we sold a customer like a 9-year-old Leaf a few months ago, and at the lot that I work at, and she bought it, didn't do any research on it. She's had it a few months, and she's like, I'm not getting the range that I'm supposed to get. Mm-hmm. And so she takes it into the dealership because first she contacted us and we're like, listen, we're not set up. Like, we sell these, but we're not set up to service anything, or we don't have any of the ability to do the test on the EV side of the battery and all that jazz. Like, you're going to have to go to the dealer. So she goes to the dealer, and the dealer, of course, looks at it and says, yeah, the battery's degraded. It's at about 65% capacity. It won't charge up past that. You need a battery. Battery costs more than the car's worth.
$15,000.
That's what I said. Yeah. So she only paid 10 for the car up here. So
my God.
And she says, well, I have an extended warranty and it covers the EV side. I made sure to ask that when I bought it. Yes, you're right, ma'am. It does. Unfortunately, it only covers up to $5,000 of the EV side.
Oh my God. I mean, that's not funny. It's just
not funny. But it kind of is funny because, like,
it's one of those awkward, like, you feel bad for them, but at the same time, like, it's expected.
Mm-hmm. I mean, that's the reason the damn thing was probably traded and went to an auction where it then came to us, And listen, I'm not laughing at her. I'm laughing at the situation of, like, it goes back to people don't do the research. Now, Nissan Leaf doesn't have great glowing results on the old Google interwebs about quality or being a very well-built EV. It's not. It's a cheap EV.
I haven't seen a lot of issues with them, to be honest.
We saw a ton.
Aside from it might be because y'all get a little cold up there, and they didn't have like the
climate,
the battery warmers and the stuff like that. Yeah, which they do now. So, I mean, aside from the battery issue, that was the only issue they really had.
But let's be real, Fluff. That's kind of the big issue.
That is a big issue. It is a big issue. But, like, you're not seeing motor issues. You're not seeing, the cars falling apart. That's what I mean by that.
Yeah. But I mean, I was talking with a guy on the Facebook page for Jade Mechanic today, and I'm like, he's like, well, this is going to be the future, and I'm like, so that lady had a Versa, and it was 10 years old. We could change her transmission and her engine for the price of that battery repair.
Yeah.
And then think about what you've got after that. You got yourself a brand new Versa, which is still a Versa. But let's be real, you're not like, and people get so cranked up. And I mean, I feel bad for her. But again, at the same time, it's like you could have done some research. And I hate to say it, but the EV thing is for people that have the income to do the EV thing. If you don't have the income to do the EV thing, you should just stick to the ICE thing, combustion engine, because they are right now still a lot of money to, dabble in that, stick your foot in that pool, as per se. Tesla are a wonderful car, but there's a huge difference in a Tesla and a Leaf, right? Like massive, completely different customer, completely different type of car, completely different type of car company. That's what people need to realize on that. I feel sorry for her, but at the same time, I don't think they're the type of people that are like struggling for money. Like this is going to completely break them. I just think that they're not going to live out their EV dreams the way they wanted to.
Yeah.
With this particular car. And that's okay. We'll probably buy back from them and send it to auction, and it'll get crushed into, I don't know, new Leafs or something. Who knows?
Hopefully not.
So what? The 1.5 turbo. What's happening with that? Everything.
They're saying bearing issues.
Okay.
Bearing issues causing knock-in.
Yeah.
So we're getting those replaced. I don't know what they've done to improve it, but
right. You do a short block or a long block on that?
Long block.
That's nice.
Long block with a turbo.
Oh, see,
is what they normally get.
In and out, in the bottom, drop it out, swap her out, stick her back in. Nice.
It's a lot. It's a lot of work. There's a lot of parts on that engine.
Yeah.
Like holy crap! Like under warranty, it pays 15 hours.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a hefty warranty time.
Right.
And I did one under CP the other day, and it paid like 23 hours for a long block. Well, those are almost short block times.
Yeah.
So it's a small engine, but it's got a lot of stuff on it.
Mm-hmm. Well, transmissions are getting better.
Yeah, I don't see really transmission issues.
No,
unless it's on like the older Altimas, the older Kicks, the older Sentras and Versas.
Yeah.
I don't know what they've done different, but I did notice. Okay, so you know how Nissan has the NV vans, right? The cargo vans.
Yeah.
And there's the NV200, which uses the Sentra powertrain, and that thing has a big old transcooler on the front of it. Mm-hmm. I rarely ever see those go out.
Yeah.
I'm wondering if that's what causes them is, well, I know the heating issue is what causes them overheating.
Yeah.
But why didn't they put coolers on these things? Why didn't they put proper coolers?
Yeah. Especially like, and you don't see it because I'm way up here in Canada, but I mean, like, I never worked for a company that had so many heating complaints. Like Nissans up here just don't get hot. Like if you look over and somebody's got their scarf around their neck inside the car, they're driving a Nissan because they don't make great heat. And they never did. And when I got up here and started working on first of the time, they're like, "You're getting what from the vent?" And I'm like, "Oh, it's not very good." Oh, that's perfectly normal. That's as hot as they get. And I'm like, and then you would see all this latent air sitting around the front rad, the way they designed them. And then you'd see them like, but there's no rad cooler. There's no transmission cooler. Like maybe if we'd have stuck a big old tranny cooler in front of it, we'd have kept the transmission alive a bit longer and helped the cooler get a little bit hotter. And maybe we'd have fixed two birds, one stone. But that's the thing that always, like, I just couldn't understand. And I remember we had I think it was a Sentra, and it had poor heat. And we flushed that core like 3 or 4 times. And then we finally said, like, it ain't, and they went and put an aftermarket heater core in it because it was out of warranty, but it was some bullshit extended warranty that they sold with the car at the car lot, at the dealer that I worked at. So instead of buying the OE the heater core and putting it in, they put the aftermarket one in. Well, that sucker was colder than the OE one. Right? So there you really look like a dumbass to the customer. So finally we had one that was sitting out back that was getting ready to go to auction, just flog it. And they grabbed the heater box right out of that one and just stuffed it in that. Fixed the car, gave it back to the customer and said, here, don't bring this back. And they're like, yeah, we're getting rid of it. And I just laughed because I'm thinking I could remember we had, for the Versas, we had updated little coolers that we would put in to get the transmission cooler. Well, not the cooler, but it would help the engine coolant actually get a little hotter in the cold weather up here. Because otherwise you drive around, there'd be 100 and I'll use my Fahrenheit thing. Like they'd be 180 and that's as hot as they get.
God.
And then that's like not in the middle of winter. That's not making a whole lot of heat for your heater core. Right.
Oh.
And you'd see them come in. They all had like what we call up here a bra across the front of them. And guys were trying everything they could, putting cardboard in front of the rad to try and get heat. And it's like, Nissan had this little thing where they made this separate cooler, and that was supposed to help it was a bypass to keep the coolant out of the transmission for a while to get more heat in the wintertime. And I'm just thinking this car just sounds like it's just not designed for Canada.
Nah.
But, I found the service information really hard. That was the biggest obstacle for me. The way they and I know you're like, for you, it's, second nature, but the layout of it, how they did it, just still frustrates me to this day. It's still so stupid. Like,
Yeah, I've had conversations with the guys at work about that, and they're like, dude, it's so easy. Like,
yeah.
We look at other brands and we're like, what? What?
Yeah. But I remember I contacted you about the Murano I had that had no memory functions. And I said, I think it's the memory module.
Yeah.
But I remember talking to you about service information was so vague on what was supposed to be going in and out of that stupid thing, what it was actually supposed to look like, and how would it was so dumb. I'm just like, bah. And I sent it over to the dealer, second opinion, said, yeah, put a memory module in it. So we put a memory module in, of course, fix the car. I was right all along. But like trying to navigate that,
it just makes you question yourself so bad.
Because it can't tell me this is what a signal coming in or out should look like, or this is what it should be. None of that was listed. It's just, here's the function, here's the operation, and all that kind of stuff. And I remember I messaged you. I'm like, Fluffy, tell me something like this. And you checked your, I forget what they call it now, but you checked for any other known cases. I think you said you found 2 on the Murano that had a memory module change and it fixed both of them. Like, that's good enough for me. Then let's try that. It's like $250 module. Wasn't expensive. No program required. Plugged it in. Seats, mirrors, and everything started working right away. Good.
Yep.
But that's frustrating when all you want is a power mirror to work, and you can't get a power mirror to work because there's a module for memory. That's dumb. That's that's. Or seat, same thing. Seat wouldn't work. Couldn't move the damn seat around. Like, that's not well engineered. Sorry. I should be able to unplug that module, leave it alone, and my seat should go back to working as they should. Power, function, no memory. That's how, if it was engineered right, that's how it should work. What about Titans? Are they still building the Frontier?
The Frontier's still being built. Yep.
Yeah. You see a lot of those?
Frontier, not really.
No way.
No, unless it's a recall.
I like that little truck. I always
recall and well, I'm talking about like the newer ones, the newer Frontiers.
Yeah,
recalls and maintenance. Really?
Yeah, and no more. Is there Titan left?
No
way. It's all done.
Nope. Yep.
Is Cummins responsible for
that? I do not know. That one I do not know. I mean, we can have our hunches, but I honestly don't know.
They were shit. They were terrible trucks.
I don't know if the smaller mid-sized trucks are doing better than the full size, or it could be the whole V8 issue. I have no idea.
Yeah, that engine for what that truck cost, and it's 5.6. It was junk. Like it
Well, what
didn't.
I mean is like everybody's getting rid of the V8s.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but then Stellantis announced that they're going to bring the Hemi back. Hallelujah.
For now. For
Yeah.
now.
I think that's inevitable. I think they're going to be here to stay. It doesn't matter. And again, you could make the argument that maybe they should, because if you look at the 6.2 in the GM right now, there's you can make the argument that that thing's a turd. But let's be real, it's a turd because of what they're trying to do with the oil to make it get some kind of emissions rating. It isn't like GM knows how to build an engine still. It's just the way we're forcing them to run on this water for oil.
Well, see, this goes down to fuel consumption and these emission control devices, VVT, that require smaller, thinner oil.
Yeah.
Right. So we're trying to get all this power out of an engine, and we're having to put all these devices on to control emissions, and it's just ruining them. So, you're running VVT, you got to run a smaller weight oil.
Yep.
A smaller weight oil can't handle the bang that's going on the rods or the lifters, or, the it doesn't work. So I think that's where we have our issue is with the emissions. Emissions is hurting the engines. We got that 1.5 that we're getting over 200 horsepower out of it.
Yeah.
A 1.5 3-cylinder engine. Of course you're going to have issues. You're trying to force every horsepower you can out of it.
Yeah.
Not only is it a 3-cylinder engine, it's turboed.
Yeah.
So you're forcing more air in, getting higher pressures. It's,
we used to put bigger engines in riding lawnmowers, and now we're putting them under the hood of cars. You know what I mean? It's just like, and then we wonder why, it won't last. Well, we're making it work so hard.
We're stressing them so much. Yeah.
Now, you talked to me the other day something about, and we didn't really get into the conversation about, but should technicians kind of go and start their own thing? And you kind of just touched on it, but we didn't really delve into that. Kind of open that up to me, what you were thinking about when you brought that topic up.
I think it's because I see a lot of people doing it now.
Yeah.
And, there's a lot of, we see on the internet, a lot of technicians are leaving dealership. It's mainly dealer techs that I see.
Yeah.
That are leaving and doing their own thing.
And
I don't know if that's good or bad, because I feel like there's going to be a point where we're oversaturating.
Well, you could make the argument that we're already oversaturated.
Yeah.
There's a lot of technicians out there. That's the thing. We're not at a shortage of technicians. We're at a shortage of a certain level of technician. I'm going to say that. I think it's pretty easy to find guys that can get tires put on or brakes put on. Although, you will talk to the guys in the circles that I run versus what you run. They're a little different. And, guys will say, listen, I hired him to do a brake job and he couldn't even get that done inside of 4 hours. I get it. Okay. But I mean, when you look at the chain stores, like they always seem to be able to be filling spots for guys to get tires done, alignments done, and brakes done. Now, I'm not saying they're all done, perfect. No, I'm not even going to entertain that that's a pipe dream. But what we need that we don't have is the guys that can do that 1.5 engine job in 15 hours, or that guy that can go in and solve that, or gal that solve that network problem in these cars, and get it knocked out in a day. We don't have enough of those technicians. And I see the guys that are really smart in the circles we run on the content creator side, and they're leaving the dealers and they're going off and doing their own thing. And that's cool. I get why they do it. I've been there. But what they need to understand is it's not how well you fix the car. As soon as you walk out, it's still important that you fix the car and you're good at fixing cars. But man, they go out of there with no idea how this business is actually supposed to go, right? So they get in there and all of a sudden it's like, okay, I'm brand new. It's just me. Door rates around me are $150 an hour. I'm going to be 110. And all of a sudden they are booked out.
Yep.
And they got all these cars. And then they get into these, and again, because they're starting out, they don't say no to anything. So they get these science project cars, these cars that have been to the dealer, that they claim have been all these places and they can't get fixed. And he goes, I'm trying to build my reputation. And so I'm going to take that on. You just shot yourself right in the foot from your efficiency standpoint for that week or that month with those kind of cars. And that's the thing that I try to get through all these people that are leaving and they're saying yes to so much is it's like, there's a time to say yes. And it's when you've got some help, when you don't have help yet. And how you get to where you can get help is a whole other conversation, but don't be the hero. Just be
I had
steady Eddie,
I had made a statement like that the other night on my live stream, like, know what you can handle.
Yeah.
Know what you can handle, whether it's 1 car a day or 2 cars a day, and it all depends on what the vehicles need.
Yeah.
Maybe if it's a heavy diag issue where it's a no start and it's been to a lot of shops, maybe you just don't want that vehicle.
Right.
Yeah. It comes into a pride thing too. Like,
oh, for sure.
It's been all these other shops and like you saw in my video, like nobody can look at a Nissan better than me.
That's right.
You want to fix the vehicle and be like, I did that. Mm-hmm. It went to all these, call out all these other shops, dealerships, independent. I fixed it.
Yeah.
And it was just this. Well, how long did it take you to actually figure that out?
I go back to check engine Chuck's Tundra that he had there. That truck that like had been bounced around and kicked his tail for like 3 months. Finally, him and Ryan get to the bottom of it and it's fixed and that's good. But see, Chuck was, I don't want to say lucky, but that works from a mobile standpoint in the sense that truck's sitting somewhere at a lot and they're trying to get it reliable to be sold, right? So nobody doesn't own that yet except for the person who owns a lot. It's not like you got Mrs. Smith screaming going, it's been another friggin' week. My truck's still not right. Do you know what you're doing? He's able to go back and forth and he's able to spend a lot of time and he's able to, track this thing down. And yes, he told me from the standpoint of hours involved versus what it paid out, it was not worth doing.
Oh, absolutely not.
But huge learning opportunity for himself and Ryan. Huge pride factor. Will be worth a lot of money return for his image to that person that owns that truck, right? That lot. But that's a different situation. That's a guy that can, go and do other jobs, other mobile repairs, and then come back to that and work on it. When you're a one-man, 2-bay, 3-bay, whatever, you cannot tie up a bay on a science project like that just for pride. You cannot do it. It doesn't make sense business-wise. I don't believe you can focus on it at all. When you're trying to get 2 other bays, one bay you're running 3 oil changes are coming in that day, and then you got a brake job, and then you found a broken coil spring on that one, so you got to book that back in and drive it back. That car is sitting there waiting for you when you have a minute. Well, when you're by yourself, let's think about this. Do you ever really have a minute? No. So I wish that the guys and gals that are jumping off and going into their own thing, I'm not sitting here saying don't do it. That's not what I'm saying at all. But pay attention to the conversations that are happening online in the ASOG group and the changing industry where they talk about your business, and follow my friend Becky Witt and follow Cecil and Rick White and all these guys that do coaching that are putting out these little nuggets on my podcast and everybody else's podcast. they'll tell you how to set this stuff up so that you can survive and you can grow and you can profit. My good friend Chris Enright at Enright Auto, part of his success is that he stays in his lane. You know what I mean? Like, he knows he's a Honda specialty shop. That's not to say that he doesn't work on just Hondas. He has some friends that when he gets some off-brand stuff in there, he can reach out to us and we help him. But like, you're never going to see him say, yeah, I'm going to go and get like all the Volkswagens that I can in my area. Or I'm going to figure out this, Chevy trucks are eating camshafts, so I'm going to put my price at a certain really great price and start doing camshaft jobs. It's the same as the diesel thing is even worse. The diesel guys that I talk to, there's this race going on in the diesel side where they're trying to do the CP3 and 4 conversions and DCRs and all this kind of stuff for as cheap as possible. And they think that like doing them as cheap as possible will keep them busy. The reality is that is the fastest way that you can get to the bottom of the toilet as you'd ever seen in your life, because it just attracts the wrong type of customer. And here's the thing. You can sit there and say there's 1,000 trucks in my neighborhood that need that repair. That doesn't mean every 1,000 are going to get the repair. Doesn't mean that all of them that need it, because you're the cheapest, are still going to wind up at your place. Mm-hmm. You're smarter to go about this and go, what's the profit I need to make on the job? And then you price it that way and you build it that way. And you offer, what do I offer that somebody else doesn't? Better warranty, maybe a better part, better service. That's the big thing. That's where a lot of it, we are too scared to charge. So the dealer says, oh, I got a shuttle van, and I pick up the customer, I drop the customer off, or I go and get their car and they bring it back. That's all stuff that in the aftermarket, we don't even think that we ever get to a point where we can offer that, because we're too busy trying to be so cheap. Whereas maybe if we try to be a little bit more expensive, we can offer some of the services that our competition offers. We can have somebody that, when the 5 appointments that we have for the day drop in at 8 in the morning, we're able to take them wherever they need to go. And, pick them up at the end of the day, or pick them up in 2 days when their car's done, something like that. We're able to offer them a loaner car. If we're too friggin' scared because it's just me and my little 3-bay shop, and I'm too scared to charge, I can never compete, because I'm not offering the same thing. I'm offering a fixed car, but there's more to it than offering a fixed car, right? There's more to this, What do you find when the customers come in? What is it that really, they want their car fixed, but what's the reason, Fluff, that you see a lot of people coming back to the dealer?
Warranty.
Okay.
Short-term warranty.
Once the warranty's gone, they don't come in?
That's when they start to phase out, yep.
Yeah.
And that squeak and rattle, that radio issue, they don't care about it no more.
Uh-huh. Now, I've seen an interesting conversation, Fluffy, and I was going to ask you about this. They talk about labor times, and they talk about because the aftermarket, there's so many places you can get your brakes done, or your alignment done, or your tires done, right? And the guy made a point. He's like, say this Audi supposed to pay 2.2 for front pads and rotors on this Audi. And he knows the guys in the dealer, they wrap them out in 1.2. So he says, I put all the labor time down to 1.5 because it was easier to compete with the local chain shops and aftermarket shops and stuff like that. Because he said, we did our numbers and they managed to get 2 more a week. So they actually made more money.
Yeah.
What do you think about that when they're cutting labor to sell the job? Yeah.
I don't think that's right.
Yeah. Because I don't believe, Fluffy, that when they come in and they ask, why is it so much more money? Is the customer even asking, what's the labor time? Like, what's the labor? In terms of how many hours is that? They're just looking at it going, frig. You guys are $1,000 and, The guy in the alley will slap the pads on for $250. Why does it cost so much? And I mean, that customer that only wants to pay $250, you never had them anyway. You were never going to get them.
Yeah, when they're shopping around.
Yeah, but I think it's a situation that we have to get away from the idea of selling hours of labor and start selling jobs and say, my job costs more because I'm using an OE part. My OE part has this for a warranty on it. My technician is,
factory trained,
ASE certified if it's out of the shop, out of the dealership. That's what we should be selling to our customer, or explaining to our customer why it costs what it costs. Not it's, the books, because as soon as we say the book says it's 2.2 and the customer says, I watched him. I stood there and watched in the corner of the shop there, and he had it done at 1.2. I don't want to pay 2.2. As soon as our only argument to say that should be 2.2 is because that's what a book says, they stop listening to us. Right?
Here's the thing, though. You go to a doctor, you get knee surgery.
Yeah.
All right. Knee surgery costs this much. $15,000, right?
Right.
You have one doctor that could get it done in 2 hours, charges $15,000, right?
Mm-hmm.
You get a doctor that takes 5 hours to do it. Who's doing it right, though?
Yeah.
It should the one that's charging, or the one that's taking 4 hours, charge more, or should the one that's taking 2 hours charge less?
Yeah.
It's still the same job.
Yeah.
And people don't realize that.
Yeah, and
we're like doctors. We're just working on cars.
Yeah.
But the doctor, they're so okay with it.
Oh yeah, because, and again, with health plan now being so common with people anymore, right? You're not really paying the full value, right? And we all talk about that, where it's like you pay this much, but what they actually bill the plan, right? The healthcare provider is 10 times that amount. Mm-hmm. Right. So it's like an insurance deductible. You're just paying the deductible. And then they go in and they fix your knee for freezies. It's not really freezies. You paid $1,500 to get your knee fixed, but then the health plan kicked in the rest. Cool beans. When we're talking in cars, a brake job, you can sit there and you can go, well, my guys have a blast cabinet and they take the caliper brackets over, and this is going to, oh my God, people are, you never want to discuss how to do a brake job because everybody has an opinion and none of them line up. And you say, well, my guys, this is how we do it. It goes over to the blast cabinet. It gets bead blasted. It's clean. They shoot a layer of paint on it. And then, the pads fit perfect because they're OE pads. They put them in. Everything gets torqued with Loctite, all this kind of stuff, and goes out the door. And then you got your guy that, smashes the old pads out and smashes the new pads on. His brake job is $250. That brake job is $1,000. Now that comes back to that individual technician's choice, or that individual service provider's process of what their choice is to how it's expected to be done.
Oh,
but I mean, I think that's sometimes when I worked in the dealer, I watched a lot of guys do a lot of crappy brake jobs because they just wanted to get 10 done that day, right? That was 15 hours. If they got 10 done, it was an hour and a half. So, and then I watched other guys that were like, it took them the full 1.5 to do it, and those guys, they didn't have comebacks, So I think that's where we got to get away from hours, and we got to get away from price. We got to start actually bragging about our people. Our service writers and our people that are selling need to be bragging on a lot more about what actually the customer's getting. Mm-hmm. With expertise and attention to detail and professionalism. If you got people that aren't that, well, that's on you. Why do you have them? But instead of getting into the numbers thing all the time, we're always constantly, why does it cost this? Why does it cost that? We need to be selling the professionalism and the expertise, because and every customer is not going to be your customer. The guy that only wants to spend, or gal that only wants to spend $250 on brakes, you don't want that customer anyway, right? If they only got 250, that's going to be hard to, and I mean, I know that's an unrealistic number now because we're paying almost $200 for an oil change for a lot of cars, a lot of places.
Yeah.
But when I see people talk about like, I still did my own brakes for $500, front and rear, on my truck. Okay, cool. I probably the way they would do it, I would not want them working for me, doing it the way they would do it for $500 or putting those parts on. If it works for them, cool. Whatever.
That's what I always tell people. You might do it a certain way on your own vehicle, but when you're at a professional establishment, it got to be done a certain way.
Mm-hmm. It's the same as like, tire rotations. I want to think that most of the industry now has adopted the idea of using a torque wrench, but I know that it's not. The guy on TikTok I saw last week, he sat outside of a Porsche dealer, sat outside of another tire shop and filmed the guy doing new tires on a Porsche, and he walks him over to the road force balancer. When he puts the thing on the balancer and he spins it up, and he never drops the head down for the road force. So there he's making his whole platform about, see that, that's why I do better, because like that would never happen in my shop. And I'm thinking, okay, you got a point there. Maybe it would never happen in your shop, but like, why does that? I'm more interested in the why that guy doesn't bother to use the road force on the machine.
I can say why.
Yeah, I know.
It costs more. It takes more time.
Yeah, it takes. Because you and I know, depending on the tire on that rim, if he's putting on some not so great rubber, you can spin all four when you've all got all four mounted. See, this is the thing. I didn't want to have this. Might as well have it. If you take 4, Goodyears and put them on some rims off some cars, and I'm not saying all Goodyears are bad, just an example. And you finish cleaning all the rims, you put all the tires on. You don't break any of the sensors. Then you walk them over to the tire balancer. Because the way I've worked in a lot of dealers is like one guy was using the balancer, one guy was using the machine to change the tires. So you didn't get to take it off, go to the balancer, then come back, and you had to get your 4 done and then go to the balancer. You could very well, out of your 4, when you go to road force, you could come up and they say excessive, spin it. Now you're taking maybe 4 back to the machine, you're doing 4 over again.
Yep.
Does that still pay the same time? Really, by rights, it shouldn't, right? Because we used to get 1.2 before there was ever TPMS. We used to get 1.2 before there was ever a rim bigger than 17. We used to get 1.2 before there was ever an alloy rim. Now we are up to 24s, and we're up to alloys, and we're up to TPMS, and we're up to road force. We still want them all done in 1.2.
Yeah, that's crazy.
When you go over to the machine and the machine says, hey, you got to, swap, mismatch, correct 4 tires, you're doing the job over again. I don't care what anybody says. You're doing it twice. And that's not fair to make the guy do it twice for the same amount of pay. That's probably why in that video, that guy didn't bother to drop the roller down, because he knows that it's going to fail it. And I worked in a shop where we didn't road force it unless we were trying to fix a vibration in the car. So a lot of tires went out without road force because he knew that the rubber that he was putting on, that Hunter machine was smart enough to fail for out around a lot of the rubber that we were putting on. Now, again, you're going to say, well, you're putting cheap tires on. Yeah, we were. Not by my choice, by the customer and the shop's choice. So it doesn't mean that I'm a bad person because I didn't road force them. It meant I was doing what I had to do to get those 4 tires done in the time that they wanted them done, because we had 10 more outside to do. That's why sometimes people do things that doesn't seem to make sense to the layman that's looking on. I'll say it that way. The internet expert doesn't understand why Fluffy and I do things some certain way. So why don't you pre-fill an oil filter before you put it on? Everybody on the internet that's an expert that's been changing oil since 1952 tells you that's the right way to do it. It ain't. The experts tell you shouldn't be doing that. You know, contaminate the new filter. Oh, that's crazy.
Yeah, because they're pre-filling them wrong.
Yeah, right. So when I talked to you last, you kind of didn't think you'd ever really go out on your own. Has that changed for you now, or still
I'm still on the fence.
on the fence?
Yeah, I'm still on the fence. Of course, with social media and how everything's been going, it's still always a possibility.
Yeah.
I had this goal for myself when I was younger that, by the time I was 35, I wanted to be on my own. I still might, I don't know, give it a few more years. I'm 33 right now, so that 35 is right around the corner. I don't know. I mean, I don't want to work for somebody my whole life, but at the same time, do I want that stress?
It's a lot. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I can tell you that as a guy that just turned 50 in the fall, at 35, I was considering going on my own, and I didn't. And then by the time I hit 40, I was already talking myself out of ever thinking about it because I just kept telling myself I didn't have enough time. At 50, I'm pretty sure there's definitely not enough time, although other people I talk to say, oh, no, that's just, there's always time. So I can tell you that, Fluff, that like probably don't, if you want to make a go of it, don't leave it too long is I guess what I'm trying to tell you, buddy.
Yeah.
And,
I understand there's never going to be the right time.
Yep. That's truth too. That's 100%. This move for you has been good though.
Yeah, so far.
Awesome. That's what I wanted to hear. So I won't take up any more of your time. I appreciate you coming on, and
Thank you.
It's always a pleasure. I cheered when I saw you leave. I cheered. I 100% did. Because you shared some things with me when we weren't recording about what it was like, and I said to you, man, I respect you for hanging in there.
Oh man, that was what, a month after the whole management change.
Yeah. So that being said, I'm glad to see you're here, and I'm glad to see that you're not having to stress as much about is your car going to get repoed or something like that, because I mean that's just, to me, the idea that a master tech, as good a tech as you are, has to worry about that really screams at the dysfunction of this industry still, and how we have to really think about what we're saying when we talk to some techs that are that competent and that skilled. And that's a worry of them, is that their car is going to get repossessed. It's not a good look for the industry. So I'm proud of you, buddy. I really am.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
I love watching your stuff, and I cheer for you all the time, because I just, not just because it's a Nissan thing and I hate that brand and I have so much respect for somebody that's good at it, but because it's just, you're a genuine guy, and you conduct yourself like a professional, and you stand up for the dealership guys, and that's important to me too, because I'm trying to be neutral here, but that's a big part of who I am and why I am the way I am, is because I came from that.
Yeah.
And I'll always defend the guys and the girls that are in that spot. I'll never stop, because until you've done it, you don't know what it's like. You don't know to be at that level sometimes of skill and be treated the way a lot of them are. And that's a problem with throughout the whole industry, not just the dealerships, but it's something that the dealers are sitting there twiddling their thumbs, getting coaches and subscribing to different education platforms that are telling them how to fix their culture. And they know what the problem is, and they don't want to do a damn thing about it. And I am happy to see people that leave one and go to a better one. because that's what it ultimately is going to take all of us doing. So if you're listening to this, guys and girls, and you're in a place, doesn't matter, you're in a place that you don't feel like you're being valued, have the conversation with your people and tell them, listen, this doesn't feel good and it doesn't feel right and I don't feel valued. And if they look at you and shrug your shoulders and say, there's nothing I can do about it, then build your own self, build your skills. But by God, man, shop yourself around. You know, like Fluff said at the beginning, when he sat down and looked at this job that was offered to him, he looked at their numbers. He looked at their hours. He looked at the guy that he was replacing, what he was doing for production. You're going to go on an interview, but they're not interviewing you. You already have the damn job. You need to be interviewing them. And I'll continue to try and teach people that, what it means to do it and how to do it. Because that's ultimately, the shortage is so big right now, they just need you really friggin' bad. But you got to realize you have to interview them and you have to fight for what you're worth. Bring your value. Don't oversell. If you're not as competent as you think you are, don't blow a bunch of smoke up their butt. Be truthful, be honest. Say, I hate this kind of work. I'm awesome at this. I hate this kind of work, though. Don't even give it to me. If you go in there and say, I do it all, I'm awesome. And then you get in there and it's like swing and a miss. You know, you don't get to strike out too many times before they're probably going to put you on the bench.
Yeah.
Fluffy, any closing words, buddy?
No, sir. I think that's about it.
Yeah. Well, I want to thank you for being on, man. I really appreciate you.
Appreciate you having me on.
Yeah, we'll have you on again. I want to keep up. And the next time you go live like that, try to go a little earlier.
Yeah.
And try to give me some notice. You know, reach out to me and say, hey, I'm thinking about going on live tonight, and I'll have a little nap, and then I'll come on.
Yeah,
because it looks like a lot of fun.
It is. We get a diverse people.
Same thing. When I get if I can stay up for one of our shenanigans nights, I'll try and get you on for that too. So.
Okay.
All right, brother. We'll be talking to you.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, man.